Greetings from Kampala in Uganda again. On Friday last week, it was my 10th wedding anniversary. I've been married to my husband Dave for 10 years now. And it was a little bit of a peculiar day, actually. We had decided last year that we were going to, celebrate this milestone with a really lovely trip to the island of Zanzibar off Tanzania. But of course, that was cancelled. Instead, we booked to stay in a beautiful lodge here in Uganda. And of course, that was cancelled. Finally, we decided that we would order some takeaway to celebrate in that way. Delivery drivers are able to be on the roads now until 5 p.m, but at the time, they could only stay out until 2 p.m. So there we were on Friday, waiting for our food, and the time was ticking by. It got to 1 p.m, still no delivery. 1:30, still no delivery. We tried calling, no answer. By 2 p.m, I kind of felt like I was fighting tears. And it was not so much because I feared I wasn't going to get my burger. It was because that felt like the final straw. Everything nice that I had planned for that special day had fallen through. That on top of the lockdown and everything else that's happening in the world right now, it just all felt a little bit too much. But in the midst of that moment, I was reminded of a Bible verse. And it's found in Philippians chapter 4, it's verse 4. And it says this: "Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice." In every moment of our lives, the good moments, the challenging moments, we have a choice to make. We can dwell on the situation that we're facing, or we can follow this biblical command to rejoice. We can choose joy. Joy isn't denial. It's not plastering a fake smile on our faces and pretending that we're happy even when we're really, really not. It's something deeper than that. It's a joy that bubbles up from within, even in the worst situations that we face in our lives. Even in the midst of mourning and sadness, there is a joy that can permeate our entire beings, because it's a joy that is not based on our circumstances, but based on a God who is altogether good and who loves us and cares for us and is always with us, watching over us, sheltering us beneath his wings, working all things together for our good. I don't know about you, but hearing those things, hearing about the goodness of our God, it makes me want to rejoice. Doesn't it just cause some stirring of joy to rise up in you when you hear about our great God? Joy doesn't deny that a situation sucks. It recognizes that our God is greater than any problem that we can face here on this earth. So I always love that God decreed that it's in joy that we would find strength. The Israelite people had been far from God for many, many years, exiled from their homeland. And they wept after they had returned and they heard the book of the law being read out loud. And they realized just how far they had wandered away from God. But it's at that point that they were reminded in the book of Nehemiah, chapter 8 and verse 10. "Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength." What a wonderful God he is. Yes, repentance is crucial. We have to move on from those things that we've placed higher than God in our hearts. That is essential. But after that comes rejoicing. After that comes a joy that can overflow out of us and infect this world, which, let's face it, right now is anything but joyful. After that comes a strength that can never be shattered because it's based on the joy of the Lord. Can you rejoice today? Can you look at your circumstances and say, well, yeah, things might not be the best right now. I might be struggling. I might be feeling like happiness is really quite far away. But I'm going to rejoice anyway. I'm going to let joy rise in me. I'm going to choose joy today. As Paul said in Philippians, I'm going to rejoice in the Lord always. That means I'm going to choose joy in the good times and in the bad times. There's a very upbeat worship song by a group called For King and Country. It's called Joy. And one of the lines goes like this. It says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of night, oh, with you by my side, I'm stepping into the light. I choose joy. If joy wasn't something that we had to choose, then Paul wouldn't have needed to include that instruction to rejoice, twice no less. I encourage you to follow that instruction today. Rejoice when you feel down and rejoice when you feel on top of the world. Rejoice through your tears and in your laughter. Let joy rise in you today and be the strength that you need to sustain you in these difficult days. Choose joy. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.